with me now is the author of that book, Thomas Fellows. Good morning to you, Thomas. Thanks for joining us on North Dakota Today.
Yes, Wayne, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Now, you're in Houston, Texas, correct?
I am, yes.
Just to let you know, give you a little perspective, when we got to work this morning, it was 11 degrees below zero here, actual temperature. So enjoy Texas.
And I'm going to play golf if the sun comes out.
Yeah.
So very lucky, but talk to me in August when it's 98 degrees and it feels like 110.
Yeah,
so.
and I totally missed that part where you were talking about going to play golf today. I didn't want to hear it.
Yes,
all right.
exactly.
Let's start talking about your book. We'll get to that in a second. Now, very few people, if any, have been talked about or seen as frequently as Taylor Swift over the past several months. And it was one of her songs that played a role in this book. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes, so the song Back to December is basically her most vulnerable song. And in that song, she apologizes to an ex-boyfriend who she realizes was a really great guy. And so David Brooks in The Road to Character talks about how we don't build love, we fall in love out of control. And he also quotes Cesar Pavase when he says, "You will be loved the day when you're able to show your weakness without the other person using it to assert his strength."
Now, the book centers on being vulnerable in romantic relationships. Why is that so important to be completely open and be very transparent?
Yes, well, I say in the book, when you're vulnerable with someone, there's a connection that cannot be broken. And laying down all your cards, you'll discover you have the winning hand. The reason you win is by allowing the other person to see you clearly for the first time, allowing them to assist you when you need assistance, cry with you when you need comfort, and help you stand when you feel as if you cannot bear your own weight.
Yeah, now I would imagine there's maybe a negative side to not exposing your vulnerabilities to your spouse or to your romantic partner. What does that all include?
Absolutely. Well, if you're not vulnerable on the front end, chances are in small disagreements, you're not going to be vulnerable on the back end. And to quote Langston Hughes in A Dream Deferred, the relationship is going to fester like a sore and explode. So John Gottman, and I read about this in Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, talks about how you need to shoot for avoiding negative experiences versus just shooting for having positive experiences. And you must have positive experiences outnumber negative experiences with your spouse by at least 5 to 1 for that relationship to last.
I would think, though, that even though something is negative on the surface, you can turn that into a positive. I would think that's something that can be done as well.
Absolutely, you can do that as well, and that's what Taylor Swift and to bring in Travis Kelce have done throughout their career, and that's why they're so successful. And I think their relationship will last because they're both very high in conscientiousness, meaning that they're both very detail-oriented, hardworking, goal-striving, etc. And when you have someone that's very high in that and somebody that's very low, chances are that there's going to be, some annoyance come about because of the difference between the two partners.
It seems like, and I don't know when those two got together, when they first started actually dating, but it seems like it just almost like a microwave. It heated up so fast. Is that a warning sign too? I know you say that you're very optimistic because of the reasons you just listed, Thomas, that these two could make it if they wanted to. Because it happened so fast, at least to the public's eye, is that a warning sign, a red flag?
Well, I think it's important just to be friends in the relationship to begin with. I say in my first book, you never really love somebody until you're willing to sacrifice for them. Without sacrifice, there can be no love. Even Dr. Martin Luther King said in dealing with relationships, as long as there's poverty in the world, I'll never be rich. As long as diseases are rampant, I'll never be totally healthy. I'll never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you need that interdependent utility function, which is the economic definition of love in relationships.
Okay, now, I think you have a suggestion or that you would like to say something to Taylor Swift if you could, and what would that be?
Yes, I would love to help her write her next song, and she can help me write my next book.
Okay. What path would you go down with her on that?
Well, I would like to have coffee with her, but I don't want to, make it seem like a date. So I wouldn't pay for her. In fact, she can pay for me.
There you go.
Because she's a billionaire, and I'm definitely not a billionaire, and I don't want Travis Kelce beating me up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Maybe she could come to Houston right now, play a round of golf with you, and come down on one of her private jets.
We have the
because-
rodeo going on now,
There you
so
go.
that would be excellent. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah. Now, how much were you thinking? How long were you thinking about this book, and as far as the research and things like that?
Well, it took quite a while. In general, it's about confidence, and I'll make the claim that the most confident people are actually humble and empathetic, and that's not usually something that you think when you think of confidence. But I think they're empathetic because they deem themselves fit according to evolutionary theory, and they encourage somebody who's ahead of them or behind them, and they're humble because they think they can learn from anybody and everybody. David Brooks once said, humility is awareness that there's a lot you don't know, and what you do know is either wrong or distorted.
All right, Thomas, where do we, if we want to order the book, I'm sure there are places that people can go. Where would you send them?
Yes, Amazon and also on Barnes & Noble. Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thomas Fellows, author of He Spoke with Authority, Get, Then Give the Advantage of Confidence. We thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Good luck on the links today, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. All right, stay with us.